The British media has done it again, losing their collective minds because Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, dares to exist, dare to serve, dare to inspire, and dare to outshine the establishment even when he isn't trying. Yes, family, we're talking about Harry's upcoming trip to Toronto for remembrance events, the very same week that his brother Prince William will be down in Brazil trying to keep his Earthshot prize alive and relevant. The timing has the tabloids shaking, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the panic echoing through the press rooms of London. Now, let's break this down with truth and perspective, something the Royal Rota never gives. Prince Harry's trip to Canada wasn't a last-minute scramble to grab headlines. No, this visit has been in the works for nearly a year, planned meticulously in partnership with charities like True Patriot Love and the Halo Trust, both organisations close to Harry's heart. But instead of focusing on the purpose, the service and the impact of Harry's visit, the media has chosen to fixate on one thing, that it happens to overlap with William's Earthshot week in Brazil. And here's where the hypocrisy begins. Because if William's trip to Brazil was the grand royal event they claim it to be, then it wouldn't need to fear being overshadowed by anyone, let alone a man who left the royal fold 5 years ago. The very fact that the palace's PR machine is melting down tells you everything. It's not about timing, it's about truth. The truth that Harry continues to thrive, continues to serve, and continues to embody the very values the royal family pretends to uphold: duty, compassion, and humanity. Prince Harry's Toronto trip is steeped in meaning. Canada is not just another stop on the map. It's where his and Meghan's love story first took shape. Toronto is where they found each other, where their romance blossomed during the suit's years, and where the Invictus Games brought them together publicly. For Harry, going back to Canada isn't just a trip. It's a return to a place of love, strength, and legacy. But let's look at what he's actually doing there. He's spending time with veterans, with wounded warriors, with the people who understand what real service means. He'll be honouring the fallen, meeting members of the Canadian Armed Forces, and continuing his lifelong mission to uplift military families. That's not just royal duty, that's personal dedication. This is the same man who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, who has spent years building the Invictus Games from a dream into a global force for healing. While others are out there chasing applause, Harry is out here restoring dignity. And yet the British media, the same ones who called him the Spare, the same ones who mocked his service, are now desperate to paint him as an opportunist. They can't stand that his life has meaning beyond the palace walls. They can't bear the fact that the man they tried to break is now outshining the institution that mistreated him. They twist his good deeds into rivalry headlines because they know that compassion sells less than conflict. Let's remember something else. This trip was announced only recently, and that's not by choice. It's for safety. Harry no longer receives the same level of security as working royals, and that means his public engagements must be carefully timed and announced in coordination with private security teams and event organisers. Yet the media uses even that against him, suggesting he's being secretive or strategic. When William hides his schedule, it's called security protocol. When Harry does it, it's a PR game. See the double standard? And speaking of PR, let's talk about William's so-called big week in Brazil. The Earthshot prize started with noble intentions, encouraging innovation to fight climate change. But over time, it's turned into a well-oiled PR vehicle, expensive, overproduced, and increasingly hollow. It's all about the optics now, the glitzy ceremonies, the fancy guests, the polished speeches. But while William is trying to save his image through performative environmentalism, Harry is on the ground doing the real work, helping veterans, supporting families, and continuing the legacy of his late mother, Princess Diana, through the Halo Trust's life-saving demining efforts. That's the difference between a leader and a brand, between purpose and performance, between Harry and the institution that couldn't contain him. Harry's Toronto schedule is powerful. On November 5th, he'll be taking part in several events to honour veterans. He'll meet the Canadian Armed Forces community, attend a private lunch with True Patriot Love, and participate in a fundraiser for the Halo Trust, the same organisation his mother championed so fearlessly. Then, on November 6th, he'll visit the Veterans Centre at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Centre, a place that provides care to ageing veterans from World War II and Korea. Later that evening, he'll attend the 17th annual True Patriot Love National Tribute Dinner, Canada's largest celebration for veterans, service members and their families. That's the real headline. A man who gave up titles but never gave up service. And through all of this, the media tries to bait the public with nonsense about feuding brothers. But let's not forget it was Harry who extended an olive branch earlier this year, offering to share his public schedule with the royal household to prevent overlapping engagements. That was his way of keeping peace, of being transparent. But what did the palace do? They ignored it, because if they ever cooperated, the press couldn't sell the narrative of rivalry. The so-called feud is their cash cow, their distraction, their favourite tool of division. Yet here's what's poetic. Harry doesn't need to fight for attention. His actions speak louder than any press release. When he stands among veterans, there's no need for a green carpet or a designer backdrop. The respect he earns comes from authenticity. And that authenticity terrifies the institution that values image over integrity. Let's be clear, Harry isn't trying to outshine his brother. He's just being himself. But the world can see the difference between sincerity and strategy, between a man serving people and a man serving headlines. Harry's impact is organic, it's human, it's real. And because of that, he'll always command the kind of respect that no title, no PR consultant, no photo op can buy. Toronto will remember him not as a runaway prince, but as a leader, a veteran, and a compassionate man walking in the footsteps of his mother. Meanwhile, in Brazil, the Earthshot cameras will roll, and the royal PR team will issue their glossy press kits. But authenticity cannot be manufactured. You can't fake purpose. And when the dust settles, people will remember who truly stood for something real. The British press can cry "meltdown" all they want. It won't change the fact that Harry continues to rise. Every attack only makes him stronger. Every smear only reminds the world how unfairly he's been treated. And yet, through it all, he remains focused, grounded, and gracious. That's what drives the haters insane. He was supposed to fade into obscurity, remember? But instead, he became the very thing they never expected, an independent royal success story. And beside him stands Meghan, his partner, his equal, his source of strength. While they continue their life in California, building their foundation, supporting communities, raising their children in peace, the press back home keeps screaming into the void, trying to hold on to a narrative that no longer works. Meghan's thriving. Harry's thriving. The Sussexes are doing just fine, not in spite of the institution, but beyond it. So when you see those headlines screaming Royal Showdown or Battle of the Brothers, remember what's really happening. One man living a life of service, and another man clinging to the illusion of power. The truth isn't in the tabloids, it's in the actions. And as always, the Royal Sussex squad sees it all clearly. We know where the light truly shines. Harry's Toronto trip isn't about overshadowing. It's about honouring. It's about love, legacy and leadership. It's about being the change, not performing it. The world sees through the palace PR now. They know the real deal when they see it. Harry's doing what royals should have always done, serving quietly, humbly, meaningfully. And that's why his light keeps breaking through every cloud of media spin they try to cover him with. So let the headlines keep screaming. Let the PR machines spin. The truth doesn't need their permission to shine, because Harry's purpose is greater than the palace's politics. And every time he steps into the world to serve, he proves it again. And that, dear squad, is the story of a prince who chose purpose over privilege, and won. Prince Harry announces Canada trip, overlapping with Prince William's biggest royal week in Brazil. The Duke of Sussex is heading to Canada for Remembrance Day events, coinciding with Prince William's high-profile Earthshot Week in Brazil by Janine Henney and Simon Perry. Simon Perry. Simon Perry is a writer and correspondent at People. He has more than 25 years' experience at People, covering the royals, human interest and celebrity. People Editorial Guidelines. Published on November 3, 2025, 11:29 a.m., Est Prince Harry will attend Remembrance Day events in Toronto at the same time Prince William is in Brazil for the 2025 Earthshot Prize, including the awards ceremony on November 5. People understands Harry's schedule was set nearly a year ago, with dates established by charities. During his visit, Harry will meet with Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans and military charities, including True Patriot Love and the Halo Trust, continuing his ongoing work supporting the veteran community. Prince Harry is heading to Canada for Remembrance Day events. At the same time, Prince William is in Brazil for the 5th cycle of his Earthshot Prize. On November 3, the Duke of Sussex's office announced that Prince Harry, 41, will travel to Toronto, Canada, for a series of events ahead of Remembrance Day. Remembrance is the British equivalent of Veterans Day in the US, and a solemn occasion that members of the British royal family have commemorated for generations. The dates overlap with William's trip to Rio de Janeiro, where the Prince of Wales, 43, arrived on November 3 for a busy week of activities tied to the prestigious prize he founded in 2020 to inspire solutions to the world's most pressing environmental challenges. The highlight will be the Earthshot Prize Awards ceremony on November 5, the same day Harry is scheduled to step out in Canada. People understands that the events the Duke of Sussex is attending were planned nearly a year ago, and the timing of the main event is established by the charity, not Prince Harry. Royal communications teams were informed of the plans. Regarding the timing of the announcement, People understands that since the Duke of Sussex no longer holds the same level of security as working members of the royal family, the window for publicising his engagements is much narrower, and announcements are made in line with guidance from his private security advisors and the event's security team. Strain remains between the royal brothers amid a rift that became public when Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, stepped back from their royal roles in the UK in 2020 and moved to California. Over the summer, reports suggested that Harry offered to share his official schedule with the royal family, in what appeared to be an olive branch gesture. The plan would provide transparency, avoiding conflicts between Harry and Meghan Markle's public outings and the British royal family's engagements, and therefore claims of trying to overshadow each other. Prince Harry is a former captain in the British Army who deployed twice to Afghanistan, and he will meet with veterans, members of the armed forces community and military charities during the upcoming trip. He has been invited abroad by the True Patriot Love Foundation, a military charity. On November 5, the Duke of Sussex will participate in a series of events to support the Canadian Armed Forces and veteran community, before heading to a private lunch hosted by True Patriot Love to discuss international veterans issues. That night, he will head to a private fundraiser for the Halo Trust, the landmine clearing charity that he follows his late mother, Princess Diana, in supporting. On November 6, Prince Harry will visit the Veterans Centre at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Centre. The hub is one of Canada's largest care facilities for veterans and provides long-term, complex hospital care to over 150 veterans from World War II and the Korean War. In the evening, King Charles's younger son will attend the 17th annual True Patriot Love National Tribute Dinner. The event is the charity's flagship fundraiser and Canada's largest celebration for military members, veterans and their families. The dinner will be attended by members of the Canadian Armed Forces, veterans, government representatives and business leaders, paying tribute ahead of Canada's Remembrance Day on November 11. So, if you're as proud of Harry and Meghan as we are, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's flood the algorithm with love, not lies. And if you'd like to show your appreciation for independent Sussex truth-telling, hit that super thanks button, because every bit of support helps keep the real stories alive, the ones that the tabloids won't tell. Until next time, family, keep your heads high, your hearts open, and your energy Sussex strong. Because no matter what the palace or the press say, the truth, the love, and the legacy will always win.